Luke 10 is where we're going tonight. Luke 10, words in red, talking about the words of Jesus. And this is a very interesting thing for me because I don't see this scripture like some people do. And like I was kind of taught to do it because I see it a little bit different. And if you're a business owner, you're going to see this different too. And it says this in Luke 10:38. As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister, Mary, sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner that she was preparing. So she came to Jesus and she said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you were worried and upset over all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about, and Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. If there was ever two sisters that could have been on a reality TV show, it was Mary and Martha. Keeping Up with the Kingdom. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. You got one in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, apron on, whipping up dinner, and the other sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce, listening to Jesus like she's at a TED Talk. And Jesus goes into a house where two sisters live, and the two sisters get into a fight. Now, it's not unusual for sisters to get into a fight. So you got to ask yourself, why is this even in the Bible? It's not epic. But most of my days aren't epic. Most of them are just regular days. And I don't know about you, but when I read that story, this is the part where I'm a little different than the way I was taught. I kind of like Martha in the story. I kind of tend to kind of lean more toward Martha. I know I'm not supposed to like Martha. I mean, Mary's the one sitting at Jesus' feet. But have you ever tried to hire Mary? Have you ever had to have Mary working for you? Martha is the one that gets stuff done. If it weren't for her, Jesus and the disciples would be eating air sandwiches. Somebody had to cook. Somebody had to serve. Somebody had to do. So Martha, she's got a bad attitude, but Mary's got a GoFundMe. I like people that get stuff done, even if they do have a bad attitude. And that's the American way, right? I mean, we live in a Martha nation. Yeah, we're raised to believe that busyness equals value. We even brag about it. We do. I come up to Terry, how you doing? Busy. That's like a badge of honor that we wear. You know what I'm saying? That's like the new word for successful. But Jesus takes this familiar dynamic and he flips it on its head. He don't rebuke Martha for working, but he redirects her focus. He's not saying that doing is bad. He's just saying that being with him is better. Now, I know Jesus likes Martha. I know that Jesus likes Martha's house. Remember, the scripture said it was her house. And so I know he likes it, and he probably likes it because it's clean. And the reason Martha's house is clean is because she's not praying 23 hours a day. She's getting stuff done. And before we pile on Martha, let's give her some credit. She opened her house to Jesus. She wanted to honor him. She was showing hospitality. In that culture, that was a big deal. Hosting wasn't just about food. It was about respect, and it was about honor, and it was about love. Because let's be real, every church needs a few Marthas. Without them, we wouldn't have any bulletins printed. We wouldn't have any casseroles baked. We wouldn't have any nursery workers scheduled. Martha represents ministry in motion. And I can look around this room tonight, and I'm not going to call you out because I don't want to miss anybody, and that just makes somebody mad. But I see several Marthas in this room, and thank God for you. Because you know the type, that kind of woman that can set up a dinner for 200 people in 10 minutes and all she's got is a crock pot and a prayer, but it works. She's the one vacuuming in the church on Saturday while everybody else is watching football. We can't demonize Martha because she was doing, there goes Martha. Yeah, bad attitude. But she was doing what many of us have been trained to do. She was serving Jesus by doing stuff for him. And here's the catch. Sometimes we get so busy doing things for Jesus that we forget to be with Jesus. You feel like you have to do certain things. You don't. When Zach tells you to raise your hands and praise and worship, you don't have to. You just don't. Write down everything you think you have to do this week. You don't have to. Don't do it. Don't do any of the stuff that you wrote down and see if the world keeps spinning. Sometimes I'm like Mary, and sometimes I'm sitting at Jesus' feet, and then the Martha in me takes over, and it's like I need to, I have to, I got to, and then it dawns on me, I don't got to, I get to. That's bad English, but it's good preaching. Luke says that Martha was distracted by all the preparations. Not sinful, not selfish, just distracted. And that word distracted literally means to be pulled or dragged around. All my ADHD people in here, all my brothers and sisters, y'all know we get dragged around, pulled around by something. If you're not ADHD, then you don't get it. When you're laying in bed at night and you're trying to sleep and you think, I need to relax. All right, I'm going to relax. I'm going to relax and I'm going to sleep. I'm going to relax and I'm going to sleep. What we got to do tomorrow? I'm not sure what I got to do tomorrow. Did I pay that bill today? I don't know if I paid that bill or not. And then I'm going to count sheep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep. Macarena. That's the ADHD mind. And but that's a perfect picture of modern life, isn't it? We're constantly pulled between work and family and church and emails and text and deadlines and partridge in a pear tree. You walk into church. Some of y'all walk into church. I've seen you do it. Y'all walk into church and you look at your watch the whole time. Like, it was your idea to come. You blame everybody else because you overscheduled yourself. And if we're not careful, we can end up like Martha, running around doing 1,000 good things, but missing the one thing that matters most. Yeah, I was thinking about you when I wrote this, by the way. Okay. You know that feeling whenever you walk into a room and then you don't remember why you walked in it. Anybody's over 50 knows. And yeah. But that's the spiritual state of most people today. We're moving, but we're not always mindful. We're doing, but we're not always dwelling. And sometimes Jesus just wants us to love on him. It's like, when you give somebody a hug and they're not a hugger, and you just give them the full frontal, boy, fire, and they're stiff as a board. And you think, well, that was awkward. Yeah, Pastor Cody's, don't hug Cody. You'll get that stiff as a board thing. But that's how some of y'all are in the arms of your Heavenly Father. She says in verse 40, don't you care? She thinks that he doesn't care because he's not doing what she wants him to do. But nothing could be farther from the truth because he's not contrasting work with worship. You imagine go down the fellowship hall and there's a big meal prepared and you walk through the line. You got fried chicken and green beans, macaroni and cheese, banana pudding, and your plate is about to collapse under all the weight. And then somebody says, hey, you missed the deviled eggs. Well, that's our lives. We keep piling on more and more on the plate. Just work and chores and commitments and deadlines and good things. until we can't carry it anymore. And Jesus is over there saying the whole time, you don't need all that. You just need one thing that's necessary. See, Martha wasn't bad. She was just overloaded. She was just distracted. Her heart was in the right place, but her focus was divided. So that's Martha. Let's look at Mary in the story. While Martha's in the kitchen, Mary's sitting at Jesus' feet. That phrase, sat at Jesus' feet, is significant because that's the posture of a disciple. She wasn't being lazy. She was being intentional. She wasn't just sitting. She was listening. And Mary understood that what Jesus offered wasn't another to-do list. It was life itself. She knew that before she could serve well, she had to sit well. And sometimes we rush into serving God without first soaking in His presence, but sitting at His feet prepares us to serve from a place of peace instead of a place of pressure. I never get on this stage without going to God in prayer and begging Him to be with me. I can't do this without you. And so let's be honest. If Martha were alive today, she'd have a Pinterest board. And it would be like, dinner ideas when the Messiah comes. And she'd be vacuuming. The whole time she's vacuuming, she's sitting there going, boy, if Mary don't get off that floor and pick up a serving spoon, I'm so help me. And when she finally she storms in the living room, don't even address Mary. Y'all notice that? Mary's sitting right there. She don't even talk to her. She talks to Jesus. Don't you even care that my sister's left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. The fact that she goes straight to Jesus, that's how you know she's mad. Because you ever been in a room and you talk to one family member while the family member you really want to talk to is standing right beside them? I remember when the girls were little, they'd come up to Michelle and they'd ask her to do something. Michelle would say no, and then they'd come to me trying to get a better answer. And I'd always tell them, she's your mom. Besides, I do things with her I don't do with you, so I'm gonna stick with her. You know what I'm saying? We can get so wrapped up in what we're doing for God that we start resenting those who just want to be with God. And Jesus' response to her is so kind, but it's so human too. He says, my dear Martha, you're so worried and upset over all these details. He doesn't say, Martha, stop working. He says, Martha, stop worrying. That's what he said. He said, you're worried and upset over all these details. The issue is not her work. The issue is her worry. There's nothing wrong with preparing dinner for Jesus. But when serving Him causes anxiety and serving Him causes fear instead of intimacy, then something's off balance. There's only one thing worth being concerned about, Jesus said, and Mary has discovered it. I like that word, discovered it. Seeking, you'll find. Knocking, it'll be open to you. You got to discover it. It doesn't come naturally in a world that's obsessed with doing stuff. And we Americans are raised on a hustle culture. We got planners. We got apps. We got to-do lists that look like a Stephen King novel. We wear busy like a badge of honor. But Jesus don't call us to be busy, y'all. He calls us to be productive. He calls us, in His words, He calls us to be fruitful. Now, see, fruitful, there's a difference between busy and fruitful. Busyness drains you. Fruitfulness fulfills you. Busyness is about activity, but fruitfulness is about intimacy. Busyness says, look what I did for God, but fruitfulness says, look what God's doing through me. See, that's what Jesus is teaching Martha and us. That you can't pour out what you haven't first taken in. You can't run on empty. You can't serve from an empty soul. I mean, think about your spiritual life like your phone battery. You can have the best phone on the market, but if you don't plug it up, then it's a little bit, it's useless. See, Mary's plugged in. Martha's running on 2%. You know how when your phone's almost dead and you get frantic? So, oh, where's my charger? Where's my charger? I'm going to lose communication with the whole world. Like, that would be a bad thing for just a little while. And that's when we neglect time at Jesus' feet. When we don't start our day, at least for me, at 5 o'clock every morning, I am in the Word and I'm praying before anything happens, before the phone starts ringing, before everything gets busy. The only thing I hear is the shower running upstairs where Michelle's getting ready, and that's the only sound in the house. And that's my time. I want to get with Jesus, and I want to spend a little bit of time on His feet, because if we don't, we're running on fumes. We're snapping at people. We're losing our peace because we hadn't recharged. That's why I love Wednesday nights. Because I don't know about y'all, but I need Wednesday nights. I need to come in here and get a little recharge in the middle of the week. Because, your feet get dirty walking in the world all the time. And you come back in here and you wash your feet again on Wednesday so you can make it till Sunday. But Jesus wasn't scolding Martha. He was inviting her to recharge. Now, the goal of this story isn't to turn everyone into Mary. And it's not to shame the Marthas. Because the church needs both. Think about it. Without Mary, there'd be no worship. But without Martha, there would be no coffee before worship. It's all about balance. It's about order. Jesus is saying, Martha, your serving's good, but your soul needs filling up. We were never meant to choose between serving and sitting. We were meant to serve out of sitting. And when you start with devotion, then what you're doing becomes delight. When you skip devotion, then your doing becomes drudgery. Jesus said only one thing's necessary. So I ask you, what is your one thing? What's your one thing? For some of us, it's simply slowing down. Just slow down. You that hit the ground running every day and go until you go to bed at night, I dare you to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, when you first get up, just read the Word and talk to Him. You'll be shocked at how much better your day goes. Because I know one thing, if I don't do it that morning, then it don't go well. Then I get snappy, I get ill, I go and yell at John Boy. and a lot of times, it's not anything he did, it's I'm not centered. I'm out of balance. Things are off. Sometimes it's turning off the noise. Y'all ever turn the radio off in your truck? Isn't that deafening? I mean, when you turn the radio off and you hear nothing, oh man, it's loud, isn't it? The silence is loud. Sometimes we got to make room for stillness. When's the last time you sat at His feet? No phone, no distractions, no multitasking. I'm not talking about you praying while you're in the shower. Just stop. There's nothing wrong with praying in the shower. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying sometimes I think we just need to stop it and just focus on Him and Him only. And you might say, I don't have time. But the truth is, you got time for what matters. The issue is not time, y'all. The issue is priority. You got time to do everything you want to do. Martha welcomed Jesus into her home. Mary welcomed Jesus into her heart. Now, let me put it in terms that I know. If you pour concrete before the ground is prepared, then you're going to end up with cracks and breaks, and it's going to fall apart. Because the foundation has to be solid before the surface can hold weight. And Mary is letting her heart settle at the feet of Jesus. Martha was pouring before the ground was ready. And you can't build a strong life if you don't anchor it in His presence. And here's the beautiful part. Jesus didn't send Martha away. He didn't chastise her. He didn't tell her how bad she was. He didn't tell her to stop serving. He just told her to refocus. And that same invitation is open to you, and it's open to me today. Jesus is not saying stop doing. He's saying, start being with me first. David said, early I seek him. See, if I don't do it, you might be different. But if I don't do it first thing in the morning, I won't do it. I'll get busy, the things will start happening, and I just won't find the time later, and then at night I'm too tired. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You start praying, can't stay awake. I mean, if you got insomnia, just start praying. Like I told you last week, the devil will make sure you go to sleep. He's not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. He's asking you to bring them to his feet. Because when you sit with him first, then everything else finds its proper place. Start your day at his feet. Before you check your phone, check your soul. Spend 5 minutes listening instead of rushing. Serve from fullness, not emptiness. Don't serve to earn God's love. Serve him because you've received it. Don't resent the Marys. Sometimes the people that seem to be doing nothing are doing the most important thing. But Jesus values your presence more than he values your performance. Can you imagine the first meeting of the Martha support group? And she stands up and says, hello, I'm Martha. It's been 3 days since I tried to fix Jesus' schedule. We've all got a little Martha in us. We do. We try to organize what God wants us to experience. But the good news is he loves us anyway. He didn't shame Martha. He affirmed her worth, and he redirected her focus. And when Mary sat at Jesus' feet, she gained something that nobody could take away from her. Jesus even said it. He said, it will not be taken away from her. That's powerful. Because everything else in life will fade. Everything is temporary. Everything will change. If you don't believe me, I pulled out a picture today of me and Michelle dating when she was 17, or she was 15 and I was 17. Things have changed. I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you at church. But what you gain from being in his presence stays forever. Your house can crumble, your job can change, your plans can fall apart, but the peace, the wisdom, the intimacy that comes from being with Jesus will outlast all of it. I mean, imagine sitting down at your favorite restaurant or coffee shop or whatever, and you meet a friend there. And you're not there to work or plan, you're just there to connect. And that's what Jesus wants. He just wants a relationship, not a transaction. He doesn't need your performance. There's nothing we can give him that he needs. But when you spend time with him, then you start to sound like him. When you spend time with him, you start to think like him. When you spend time with him, you start to love like him. I think maybe I got time for this story, maybe. When my first daughter was born, that one, there was, I'll never forget, this thing comes out. And it looked like a naked chihuahua. It was, I thought, I don't know what this is. And about that time, this overnourished nurse walks in with a bowl full of water. and she takes this little washcloth and she grabs my puppy by the hind legs and picks her up and starts washing her off. And after a while, she didn't look like a puppy no more. She looked a little like me. And if we'll let him clean us up, if we'll allow him to use the water of the Holy Spirit to wash us and clean us up, we'll start to look a little like him. You know, Mary's story doesn't end in frustration. It ends in transformation. In John 11, her brother Lazarus dies. And it was Martha that ran out to meet Jesus. And she said, Lord, if you'd have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. If you'd have been here, but I know that even now that God will give you whatever you ask. That's not the voice of a frantic hostess anymore. That's a woman of faith. She learned, she grew, she turned her worry into worship. Mary's so upset she don't even come out of the house. Because you know how them real big-time worshipers are. You know them music people. Hey, I'm just saying, there's a little drama up here. You know what I'm saying? Because, and the reason for that is that emotion, that passion, that feeling, I mean, that's what makes them what they are. But they didn't understand. Because Mary and Martha were trying to write a healing. Jesus was trying to write a resurrection. So stop trying to write your own rules. Let him be God. Don't worry about doing stuff to the point that it gets in the way. We don't have to do anything. We get to. And that's what happens when you balance doing and being. Your serving becomes sacred. Your faith matures. Jesus didn't come to Martha's house for dinner. He came for a relationship. He wasn't hungry for food. He was hungry for fellowship. And praise team, y'all can make your way on up here. Y'all emotional little people. Yeah, y'all emotional little people. Come on up. But that's what he wants from you. He doesn't want perfection. He doesn't want your performance. He wants your presence. He doesn't need your flawless service. He wants your full attention. And here's the big takeaway, y'all. We can't do our way into peace. We can't serve our way into joy. You can only sit your way into his presence. And when you start with Jesus, everything else flows from there. Work becomes worship. Serving becomes sacred. Ordinary becomes holy. Mary discovered the one thing that Jesus said would never be taken away. So slow down. Put down the frying pan. Sit down at his feet and listen. Because before you can change the world for him, you got to be changed by him. You don't have to choose between being a Mary or a Martha. You can be a Martha with a Mary heart. Martha had a servant heart and it never changed. Never did she change. Because God usually doesn't change your personality. He just anoints it. And that work mentality that Martha had stayed with her the rest of her life. That worship mentality that Mary had stayed with her the rest of her life. How do I know? The last time we see them is in John 12. It says, in verses 1 through 3, it says, 6 days before the Passover celebration began, Jesus arrived in Bethany, the home of Lazarus, the man that he had raised from the dead. A dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. And guess what? Martha served. And Lazarus was among those who ate with him. And Mary, ever the worshiper, took a 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume made from the essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it, wiping his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance. You got to have both. You got to have Mary. You got to have Martha. All of us lean one way or the other. And that's okay. That's what it takes. Yeah, Jesus serves. Serve him. But don't forget to sit with him first. Because when we learn to be still in his presence, then doing becomes joy and not a job. And when we trade our distraction for devotion, then our lives stop being hectic and they start being holy. Stand to your feet and worship him one more time before we leave tonight.
Hi everyone, I'm Jada. I'm a part of the Liberty Hill Church community. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for taking the time to join us today. We love to keep in touch, so if you could hit the like and the subscribe button and turn on those notifications, that would be awesome. Also, if you have any prayer requests, or if you made the choice to invite Jesus into your life, or if you want to share something God has done for you, just text PRAY to the number on the screen. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to support our ministry financially, you can partner with us by visiting libertyhillchurch.org and clicking on Give. Can't wait to see you again soon.